Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Before we get into today's video, if you could just hit that button down below, that would massively help me out. And also check out the links in the description down below. The Leeds United Champions Again Ole Ole prints are now only £5.99 each. So if you want to get yourself a bargain and some wall art designed by me, head down to my Etsy store down below and I'll get them shipped out to you as fast as possible. So today we're going to be talking about the Fulham game because football's back after another boring international break. Leeds United are playing against Fulham, and we're going to be talking a little bit today about some of the tactics that Fulham might like to employ under Marco Silva. So then, when we start to look at Fulham, initially it kind of looks like they're lining up in a 4-2-3-1, a little bit similar to the way that Leeds United would have been lining up last season in the Championship. Of course, this season we're going into a lot more of a 4-3-3 kind of system. But Fulham don't play in this kind of traditional sense of the 4-2-3-1. There's a lot of movement and rotations. And what we're going to have a little look at is kind of the importance of somebody like Calvin Bassey, or at least if he's not playing, whoever plays that role and has the skill set that Bassey has to charge forward into midfield, essentially, and break the line. So let's put ourselves in a situation here. We're going to say that Fulham are in black, because I know they play in a black away kit. So let's have a little look here. You've got your wingers and your number 10, whoever this would be. In fact, let's swap them around to make it a little bit easier. You have somebody like Andreas Pereira or Emil Smith-Rowe. They play with what seems to be a double pivot. Let's say that Leeds are kind of defending in a 4-5-1 kind of situation here. And that Fulham are going to be attempting to kind of play out from the back. Now, one of the things that Leeds would have to do is to try to stop Calvin Bassey making those runs into the midfield. But what happens really in these situations is that, let's say that this is Calvert-Lewin for argument's sake. He's going to try to basically sit in this place. If we're playing a mid-block, he's going to try to stop them from essentially being able to pass it around at the back. So what Bassey does well is he drives into the midfield. And so you've got somebody like whoever this might be for Leeds. Let's say it's Longstaff in this game. He's marking this option here. What Bassey will do is in getting away from Dominic Calvert-Lewin there, he opens up the space to which somebody like Dan James and Nonto, whoever it might be on that right-hand side, would actually have to come across to try and combat Bassey, which allows Bassey to either play to the fullback, or if the fullback stay back a bit, to the winger out wide in this situation. Or if nobody actually comes towards Calvin Bassey in this situation to try and stop him, and they actually stay like this, he has the license basically to get even further forward, and has been known on occasion to play the ball into the winger, for example, like that, and actually make an overlap. So you've got a centre-back up on the wing. Basically, Calvin Bassey is a big attacking threat for them from centre-back because he breaks the lines. Now, we've seen people like Joe Rodon do that before, and he breaks the press. He breaks into the zones, and it kind of unsettles the opposition of where they're trying to play. So he is a big one for them in terms of their ability to progress. In terms of their ability to progress the ball up the pitch. The other thing that Bassey does well is allow somebody like Sasa Lukic in this midfield role, who Leeds were linked with a couple of years ago, to be a free man in the midfield. Now, a lot of the time, Bassey will come forward like this, and you'll have somebody like the other holding midfielder, whose name escapes me right now, for Fulham. It could be somebody like Andreas Pereira, to be honest, and they would sit in that role there. Usually you would expect then Sasa Lukic to sit alongside him in that role. But Lukic in certain situations will be given the license essentially to get forward, so that because you've bypassed him, you've got that extra player in there, you've got your fullback there, and you've got the other centre-back if needs be. The end goal of all this is to try and get 5 players or five attackers in the front line. So when Bassey does break the lines here, he's got the option to pass backwards. But a lot of the time, somebody like Lukic will try and find himself in space there to receive that pass. which then he's got options of Smith Rowe or indeed Adama Traore out here on the wing. Adama Traore is always going to want to isolate the fullback in a 1v1 situation. So I think he is somebody who is going to cause real problems for Leeds if we can't double up against him. So let's say that this is the situation with Leeds and you've got two Leeds players back here once Lukic has received the ball. Now, the number 10, Smith Rowe here, will attempt to occupy, and the forward as well, of course, will attempt to occupy these defenders here, allowing a 1v1 situation with Adama Traore, which is not what you want because chances are he's going to get past and he's going to be able to put the ball in the box. So what you want to be able to have here is your winger coming back to help out as well in that situation. And you're also looking to have your midfielders come back into this space and really pack out the edge of the box to try to stop them being able to get all of those players in there, because they will try to push all of those players up into the final third. Anthony Robinson as well at fullback is going to be a big problem for Leeds because he provides that overlap as well that we know so well from people like Jayden Bogle doing it from us. So essentially the danger men then are Calvin Bassey for progressing the ball, or whoever plays in that role for this system, the left centre-back or the right centre-back, whoever is the one who's going to be the ball progressor, will carry the ball into the opposition midfield, breaking the lines and offering up options for himself. Then you might have somebody like Lukic dropping off and finding himself in space in the midfield, which Leeds have got to try to cut those passing lines and lanes. You've then got the fact that they'll try to get a lot of players on the edge of the box, including Anthony Robinson and Adama Traore, who will be danger men in 1v1 situations and 2v1 situations, trying to create chances inside the box. They're a good side, Fulham. And whilst they do have some really good players and people like Raul Jimenez and Rodrigo Muniz, who, of course, we flirted with the chance of signing all summer, they have a lot of good qualities and a lot of good abilities, but they're not completely invincible. They picked up some good points last season against the top 6 sides, but they tended to drop points against some of the lower opposition as well. So maybe that, whether that's complacency, thinking that they can take more risks with those lower sides, I don't know, but Leeds have a chance in this game of creating chances against them. Of course, when you play like this and when you are attempting to put as many players forward as you can, not necessarily all of them, you have got the chance of a counter-attack. And with people like Noah Okafor, Dan James, Wilfred Gnonto, and their ability to get forward quickly, and somebody like Calvert-Lewin, if he can make those runs like I explained the other day in one of my videos about the way that they make runs into the final third, Leeds have a chance of playing on the break here as well. Now, it's not necessarily that Leeds will completely play on the break the whole game, because there will be periods, of course, where Leeds do sustain possession a little bit more. The problem with Fulham sometimes, and they have signed some new wingers and stuff, so we don't know fully kind of their defensive work rate, but somebody like Smith Rowe is not going to be the best player in the world at tracking back and getting into those defensive situations. So Leeds are essentially, you know how Leeds play. They'll have a couple of centre-backs almost on the halfway. You'll have a Dominic Calvert-Lewin up there, for example. You'll have a couple of wingers. And then the full-backs will also be attempting to get high and wide as well with our midfielders. You'd have the 6, and then you'd have an 8 and a 10 there, essentially. Two more midfielders. So Leeds' job as well is also similarly to get the ball out wide to somebody like Gabriel Goodmanson, and those rotations between the winger and Goodmanson to be able to get down the line and get balls in the box will be vital. Now, an issue that could be caused here is when they press, an issue that could be avoided here when creating chances is that Leeds need to make sure that the movement is right. When somebody comes to press the centre-back, if they can find a ball into the midfield here for Tanaka, whoever it is, back from injury, and they can then get the ball to Goodmanson. These triangles here, the rotations to be able to offset this and essentially try and create overloads and get people like Goodmanson in down the line with then Nonto, for example, going into the half space. We have to make sure that we can make those passes. So it's going to be important that our movement is really good in midfield, peeling off those players, giving yourself an option, then playing the fullback, making those runs. It's got to be fluid and fast and precise as well from Leeds, because we've seen in certain situations when we don't move the ball fast enough, we aren't able to exploit them as they're trying to maintain their positions. So it's going to be important that we are switched on, because Fulham are a very, very good side. So that's the way that I think we can build up and create chances, through the wings, through overloads, and I think we need to watch out for them charging out from the back, trying to create 1v1 situations with Robinson and with Adama Traore down that wing as well. That would be a really, really difficult task, but I think Leeds are capable of getting something out of this game. Let me know what you think the score is going to be down below. And of course, I will be doing a live watch along for the game, so come and join me, and then there'll be a match reaction afterwards. So thanks for watching Leeds lately, and I'll see you in the next one.